evening. It's October 16th, 2025 at 5 p.m. and I'm going to call the Finance Committee to order with a roll call.
Gothier here.
Shepherd here.
King here.
Ayala here.
Kilcoyne here.
Padula here.
Beaupre here.
It's 5:01 and I'm going to call the CBC to order with a roll call.
Gothier here.
Shepherd here.
King here.
Kilcoyne here.
Let's go to
Me and
everybody's side.
see you again.
Okay, so we're only missing Sarah.
Yes, Sarah is absent tonight. First thing on the agenda is approval of the prior meeting minutes. We are going to push that until the November meeting because we got a lot to cover tonight. And now I'll open public session for a total of 6 minutes. If anyone wants from the public would like to speak for 3 minutes at a time. Hearing no, I am going to push on into the next agenda item. That is, the Select Board requested a recommendation from the Finance Committee on the first article in the warrant, which is the recommendation regarding the MBTA zoning. So that is our opening topic here tonight. So I will get the dialogue kicked off around our recommendation, and we actually get a two for all of this because our discussion around the recommendation for the Select Board is also the same discussion we're going to have about Article 1 approval in the warrant. So I've spent a lot of time analyzing the situation, and I've tried to gel my thoughts into a prepared statement that I'm going to read to you at this point in time. And that hopefully will kick off a lot of discussion here after that. Article 1, MBTA Communities, Multifamily Overlay District. First of all, I want Sterling in full compliance with the MBTA Communities Law. I'm also focused on the bottom line for Sterling. The fiscally prudent approach is to, 1, file a formal appeal of the state's rejection of the Northgate Meadows as our compliant district and focus all our legal efforts there. 2, to create a by right, and I'm calling it an RR multifamily zone with an objective site plan review. That's a new zoning area. 3, rezone the 3 Northgate Meadow parcels into that district. Change the zoning. 1 building has yet to be built on that property, 2 are up already on that. This concentrates our compliance where higher density already exists in town, and it avoids additional service cost deficits that create a town-wide financial risk by expanding that zone. Importantly, the MBTA Communities Law lets compliance be done by the town's choice, and that's important. Where and how, we decide. So the keys of the town stay with Sterling, not with the state. Until we pursue this approach, I can't support warrant Article 1, which lays out additional parcels to be considered for the multifamily overlay district. Additional comments to that. I view it as an and. I want to comply with the state law, and I don't want to obviate any grants that may come in. I want the and. I want both. And I think we can approach it that way, and that's the way that I feel about it. The Northgate Meadows, when you read through, not the law itself, because the law itself is quite basic, but if you read through all the regs that were created by the subcommittee after that, and that's quite lengthy, the Northgate Meadows meets the spirit of every one of those things in there. The only thing it doesn't meet is it was originally zoned in by special permit zoning, not a by right zoning. So my position is change the zoning, change it retroactively. It becomes compliant at that point in time, and if we have to use any legal muscle, use your legal muscle in that vein. So that's the end of my prepared statement.
Yes, I agree with you, Joe. I was wondering myself, why can't we just rezone that to be by right, you know? I mean, we're rezoning something else to be by right that was a different zone. So why can't we rezone Northgate? Seems like a good approach to me.
Excuse me, I had a lengthy conversation with Mr. Caldwell about this, and, you know, he may be right, but I won't tell him that.
I'll hide in the corner.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. My only concern with this, I understand it's a law, and we may lose grants. Nobody has come up with the actual grants that we could lose because we don't do this. My big concern is, when I read some of the stuff, is what, and Bill and I discussed this, about sewer, because it doesn't have any sewer there in Sterling. And it's right there, I believe, at Northgate, okay? And if this gets rezoned for this MBTA, whoever's building that is easily going to grab to that sewer and just take it for wherever it goes. It could go side lots, back lots, could come out on Route 12, go down Route 12. It doesn't cost that much to extend sewer. And me personally, I just think it's just going to open up all of those houses, all the open space that's on North Row Road, because sewer is basically cheap compared to a million septic systems.
I agree with
That's my point. I mean,
I agree with you on the cheapness of the sewer addition there.
But, I mean, it's a law, but I just think somehow some more work can be done. I'm not saying Bill didn't do his work, or Steve, but I don't know, I just can't believe, I can believe that the state's actually jamming this down everybody's throat.
So to answer your question on pending and received grants, we've received 40K. This is from a message that I got from Bill a while ago. We've received 40K already, and we've got 114K pending at this point in time.
Do you want to just speak on that real quick? Because both of those are DPW grants. Just for pure facts, Mr. Chairman. So far, we've received $68,000 in pending award, pending approval of this MBTA zoning, and that's to address, or to begin to address, the PFAS issues that we have down on Worcester Road. And we have another $41,000 that we just applied for that's also contingent, that we not necessarily haven't been awarded yet, but so right now it's 68 plus that, plus whatever else you have going. So just so you're aware.
Thank you, Ryan. That's part of the number that I mentioned there. Yeah. That was in.
And the 135 for the design of your wasn't included in that number.
Okay.
And what was that? 135K for the design of what?
Downtown
Downtown.
construction project.
How many years ago was that, Bill?
What's that?
How long ago was that?
It was right after I started, so
Yeah, it was several years.
23 or 24.
That was,
Yeah, then we applied for the construction money last year, and that one was not approved.
but the 135 was contingent on this
Yeah, we were still in interim compliance at the time.
MBTA.
I don't think we fall out of compliance till the end of the year here. Is that correct, Bill?
As soon as we voted down, we would not be in compliance.
My question is, supposedly there's 4 different, this is a question for Bill, I think, there's 4 different pockets that we get grants from. In which pockets are we not going to get grants for? I believe that we only got the last grant I know we got, big grant, was for the school. And that was about 400 years ago, that was a long time ago. But I mean, are these other grants, are we going to lose these because of this? And which ones are we going to lose?
So anything through the one-stop program, which are the ones that were awarded, with the downtown stuff, the water things, those are all MBTA, the 88 that we had, that required interim compliance. There's obviously the other programs, but we don't typically use those.
I have a question. I know that the North Gate was turned down because it didn't meet the criteria, but if we rezone North Gate, will it then meet the criteria and
It was approved
satisfy?
under a 40B. I don't know that it's ever going to be approved.
Say that again?
It was approved under a 40B application, which required a special permit under a separate lot, so I don't see that ever changing or being approved as a location. Stevens spent 2.5 years on this project, trying to get us in compliance. It's in the general area. We're not arguing about that. We're arguing about the place we're trying to go at this point, which is in the warrant. So we're not starting at square one again.
I think we should fight harder, Bill, and I think we should use legal muscle if necessary to get an appeal approved by the committee who turned us down on that, because it makes so much sense for the town to do it that way. That is already existing. It meets every sense of the spirit of what they push for right now.
I don't think anybody in particular likes the lot, but that's where we are for a spot.
I have a question for you. So we're talking about, in round terms, $240,000 possibly being taken out of the town. How much are you going to allot for legal expenses on this in your mind? Because it's going to cost something. If we're going to be one of the many towns that failed and we're going to be the only one that succeeds, that would be impressive, but I can't believe that's going to happen, Joe. I feel
Let me
like...
clarify. Other towns have pushed back and said we're not going to comply. We are saying we are going to comply. However, we want our compliance to be the North Gate 3 parcels.
Well,
That's way different.
See, now, Stephen, my understanding is that was his approach. And they said, nope, the road starts in Leominster. That's what they said.
I don't believe the road in Leominster has anything to do with meeting the spirit.
I absolutely agree with you.
The parcels are in Sterling.
I agree with you, Joe, but Stephen spent years on this, and it was shot down. What he's proposed right now for 15 acres has been already accepted as being approved by the state. It doesn't give any options for expanding. It's 15 acres on properties owned by multiple property owners, and I don't understand why we're wasting this much energy to do something like you're doing, because Steve is a really smart guy. He would have gone through a lot of this stuff, Joe. Before you make another statement, I would appreciate it if you spend some time talking to Stephen and throwing your ideas in front of him, because I think after a couple of years, he's done a lot of this stuff and it didn't work. He's got a solution right now that'll bring the town potentially $240,000 that we won't have, and it won't cost us any more legal fees, and God knows what that is, Bill. I mean, what are we doing? So, 50 grand in legal fees? Now we're close to $300,000. To prove what?
So
15 acres? 15 acres not expanded, not able to be expanded.
Let me provide a partial answer, and maybe you can take it from there, okay? There's a break-even point in Sterling, okay? We get tax revenue from properties based on property value right now.
Right.
There are services associated with every household in town right now. Fire, police. There's a school stipend as well for every student in there, and there's a ratio of students to town population and to household population right now. When that falls below about, I'll use 400,000 as a rough number, we're in deficit position. That is the service cost. The school, police, fire, other town services cost more than the revenue we bring in. If you look at the North Gate, that has an assessed valuation of about $195,000 per unit right now. It is below water. It's below that 400,000. If we built low, that is only 48 units on the 11.7 acres that we're talking about right now. That would be an annual $153,000 deficit for the town. So that counters the discussion about the grants. Grants are one time, these are recurrent. If we built midpoint or 120 units on that new land because we brought sewer in, as Mike Padula was saying, we would have a $383,000 per annum deficit on that. And if we built high and we maxed it out,
We don't pay for the sewer.
No,
the developer would.
Developer,
The developer would,
It
but
just opens up other
you know,
land.
that land would be opened up to up to 175 units on that, and that would be a $560,000 annual deficit. We would have to match that with grants every year in order to come out even with this new development. That's what I'm talking about.
I appreciate that, Joe. I think we really have to have a more serious conversation with Stephen about this. My alarm bells go off when people who are not planners start proposing different planning techniques without talking it over with a professional. I wouldn't talk to an engineer about a design of a bridge. I wouldn't talk about zoning without the planner.
Wayne, I'm talking strictly financial.
I appreciate
That's where
that.
I'm coming from.
I
okay?
appreciate that.
And we have a planner here, so
Right.
Eric's got the floor right now.
Okay. There you go.
So, just looking at the financial analysis, I didn't really, the assumptions that you made were based on town averages, which are largely, sorry, having a heart attack here.
Don't do that.
Ran in. Largely averages of single-family homes on large lots, and the cost to serve per unit high-density housing is much lower than your assumptions. And the amounts of children per unit is also much lower than your assumptions. Whew.
How do you know that? We were trying to find out that information.
Like if the number of kids in Northgate, I think is like 3 in all of Northgate. So like
Right now.
0.1 per household, not 0.2 whatever you said.
0.29 per household on average. And that's how many households we have in Sterling. And that's how many kids we have in school in Sterling.
But in high-density housing, the number of kids per unit is lower, and the cost to service per unit is much lower. It's not an immediate, you're going to get this giant increment to service that. It's development on roads that already exist. There's no extra plowing, there's no extra.
So to answer that, Eric, what I did was I took the assessor's cost per household that gets published every year, and the most recent one is the FY25 one that they published. It's available on the website.
I know.
I discounted that service by $600,000 or $600 a household in order to be uber conservative in applying these. Then I went further. And I discounted that even further by looking at all the land use in it, and that was in the parcel of documents that I shared as well. And that discounted even further the impact of single-family household, because there are other services to provide it to Chapter 61, to businesses and things of that nature as well. So I tried to take a very conservative approach to that.
I think the numbers are not trustworthy.
They're never going to be perfect, Eric.
I mean, I think they're off by like a factor of 2. Like if you change the assumptions to what I think are more reasonable numbers, the break-even point goes off the end of your chart. It's break-even at $150,000 per unit.
I don't agree with that arithmetic at all.
Okay. That's it.
You okay now? You need a defibrillator?
Sorry.
I just have one question. How do you know how many children per the Northgate?
I don't.
You don't, right? Okay.
We don't either, Eric, okay?
Everything is speculation. That's the
We've
bad.
applied the factor, okay? We looked at the number of families that are in the zone, that is, from 23 up to, I think our cut line was about 50. are likely to have it, so there are plenty of families in Northgate right now that are in that zone right now.
Your daily
And as
basis
Mike said, it's the first year.
is an argument against building any housing whatsoever under like 500,000.
No?
It really is, Sean.
Yes.
It really is an argument that we can't afford to have affordable housing because it's a losing proposition. That's basically.
I would say we don't.
And I understand it.
I think we want plenty of other housing here. I'm not sure that we want another Northgate complex on the new 11.7 acres that we're talking about here, because that'll further dilute where our break-even point is.
I mean, someone would have to buy all those lots with all those houses already on them, pay for all the houses, knock them all down, join the lots into one, redevelop it as like,
I hate to tell you,
I'll let Mike take over.
that's possible, that's very possible.
Yeah.
You know, with developers, a big developer to come in and everything else to do that, for the amount of money they would make on that. My problem, if I'm worried about down the road, you've got all this development there, and like I say, my big thing is sewer, because I watched Simpson bring water down North Row Road to all those subdivisions, which made it easy, and I'm nothing against Simpson, he's a builder, and that's the way he does things. But it's a lot cheaper to do that, to bring water down, than drill a well in each lot, and that's what I'm afraid of. If you could, or we could, or the town, or Bill, or whatever, could put some type of stipulation in that part of it, that the sewer could go no further than that, and that's it. I would not second guess, but I would go along with something like that. But that's what I'm afraid of. Nobody seems to think, or nobody seems to see what happens down the road. You got a little bit of subdivision here, then you got another apartment. I'm going to call them apartments. You call them whatever you want. Apartments here, and single multi-family houses all over the place. Well, to me, that's not Sterling. And I will, there again, I don't feel there's no such thing anymore, basically in Massachusetts, is affordable housing. There just isn't. Even if you get the land for nothing, it's still going to cost you, for a single-family house, it's still going to cost you $400,000. So there's no such thing. So I'm sick of the word, affordable. Nothing's affordable. And all you guys know that. All you guys know that.
Affordable is subsidized.
Right. You know?
So it's-
If it's subsidized, somebody's got to pay the subsidy.
Exactly.
You know? But like I say, that's my only thing. I'm looking down the road. I've been here forever, it seems, but I've just seen certain lots get built, and then all of a sudden it jots on down the road. It kind of adds. It's like Pac-Man. Just chews up. You know. But I mean, unfortunately, then there's other zoning coming down the road, as you know, Eric. Next thing you know, the whole town is going to be, multi-family housing or places like that. But as far as somebody buying that whole thing, knocking that thing down, there's a lot of builders. If they can make some money, because the only ones that make...
$1 billion houses.
The only one that makes money is the builders in the real estate and some of the people that sell the land. But that's their one-shot deal. The builders are there constantly, one house after another, one apartment after the other. So, I mean, it's very unfortunate because the state's doing this. To a town, they don't even know where Sterling is. That's the worst part about it.
Those 9 parcels have a current assessed value of $3.1 million, so relatively low. So to amplify what Mike's saying, a developer would be all over that, in my opinion, rather quickly.
Excuse me for a second. So, for instance, how much did that first building cost for them to build that? On Northgate?
on North, yeah.
Yeah, how much did that building had to cost, $2 or $3 million, didn't it?
I think it was $9 million a quarter.
All right, so somebody came up with $9 million to build that, and they're making money at it. You don't think they're gonna, can't use that word, clear all this land and put a bunch more there? They're only what you just say, 3.5 million, or?
This 3.1 million is the current assessed valuation.
And maybe even, and somebody may hold out. Now, I gotta ask Bill, I'm talking too much, I'm sorry. I gotta ask Bill, if one person does not sell their piece of, their property right in the middle of that, that can't go through?
I mean,
Okay, you got 9 parcels for 15 acres.
every property owner can do whatever the heck they want with it.
That's not what I asked. I asked if one of them, if somebody comes in and buys it all, except one person says, no, I'm not gonna sell it, and it's in the middle, what does that?
Everything would still be required by the setbacks and frontage and everything else.
And they'd have to build around that poor little guy that held out.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm just asking.
Yeah, the setbacks are just big enough that on like those narrower lots, you couldn't do anything, basically. You'd have to buy multiple and put them together.
Yeah.
There are a lot of deep strip-type lots in that section of town. Agreed.
Question, Mr. Chairman, very good job, by the way, with the analysis, Michael, too. I really didn't know which way to go on this one. I know it's the law, and I respect that. But now if they're hearing all this, as a taxpayer, I always try to look at what's the impact on the taxpayer of Sterling going forward. And I don't think it's positive if we approve it. But I do, where does it go if it doesn't get approved? And we're just recommending it anyway, but what happens if it doesn't get approved? And I don't want to pay unlimited legal expense for the next 5-10 years. Other towns have taken this on and failed. But I know we're looking for a change of zoning, a little different than just an outright rejection. And so that's my question. Where do you see this going if this thing doesn't pass?
I don't know, John.
No.
Maybe Bill would know.
I offered a financial opinion.
No.
That's my role.
Brought in some very good information.
Okay, go ahead, Kevin.
So Joe, I watched the selectmen's meeting when they discussed this and there were concerns and it supposedly went to the town's attorney and he weighed in and said that we have to do this. My question is, what case did we present to him versus do we have to do this, yes or no? It's a $150 opinion. If we need to get a $5,000 or $10,000 opinion, then to me, it's worth spending the $5,000 or $10,000. Am I nuts about spending 50 or 60 and challenging them in court? No. But I think if we could get an in-depth, raising your points, if we can get an in-depth analysis from the town's attorney, maybe he hasn't heard your argument, and maybe it has merit. So, I would like to see us at least do that. Do we have time between now and town meeting? I don't know.
And I don't know. And I am offering a financial opinion, and I agree with what you said. It's worth, to me, spending some money on it in order to make the overlay in the right area.
Stephen already did this. Stephen already tried to do this, and it didn't work. And it's going to cost the town more money in legal fees. We're going to lose out on grants, and he already tried.
And you're going to lose out on a recurring basis if you do that by
So you're
creating
saying
the overlay.
that's not proven.
Well, neither of the grants
We have
guaranteed.
grants sitting there right now.
You know,
We have grants sitting there right now. This is total speculation about what's going to happen.
well less than what we're talking about in recurring expenses, Patricia.
The Attorney General said that, we don't have the option to not comply and just not take the grants. We shall comply. We have to comply, right? So if we don't, they will probably sue us like they've sued every other town. And we'll have to fight that, and that's...
Nothing that came out of my mouth tonight, Eric, said, don't abide by the law. I started out by saying, it's an and. We are going to comply with the law, and we're going to get our grants. That's the position.
It's we're going to try and get them to agree that what we want is what they
Other towns-
They already don't agree.
Other towns have put their overlay over largely existing construction that exists in the town. They've succeeded. All I'm opening up the discussion for is why can't Sterling succeed as well? Because we are probably in a better position with Northgate Meadows meeting that spirit of high-density, affordable, multifamily home than some of the other towns that got the overlay.
I agree. You should talk to Stephen. He's asked and gotten the answer several times. He went back to them at the select board's direction after we got shot down the first time and asked again, and they clarified and still shut it down. They said, no, that's not going to work.
Did they say we are not allowed to rezone Northgate?
The problem for that specifically is that it was approved as a 40B, a Chapter 40B project. If it was a standard multifamily, yeah, I think you have a better argument. But where it came in as a comprehensive permit through 40B, I think that's the biggest challenge.
So what is it about a 40B that doesn't allow you to rezone?
It's low income.
It's all low income?
Not all of it. It's
25% there.
Yeah, it's pretty technical. It gets pretty deep.
A lot of paperwork
Trying to
with it.
figure, oh, yeah.
It's approved through, and they changed the name of the division, housing and, it used to be housing and economic development, now it's just, housing and livable communities, or
A long group of letters.
a lot of letters that I don't remember which ones they are.
HLC.
So their special permit allowed it to be a 40B, but if we rezoned it, we would
It's
be,
still going to be a 40B.
and that would meet the letter of the requirements.
Yeah.
That's going to be a comprehensive permit under that regardless.
See, that's what Stephen was saying all the way in the beginning. What was this, 2 years ago? That he thought the Northgate hit the spirit of the law. We all do. There's no argument about that, really. But it's been shot down numerous times because they see that it doesn't meet the spirit of the law. So
They being the state.
the state. So do we have, in our financial analysis, money in our budget for the money that this is going to cost? And how much money has been spent to speak to what's been recommended? How much money has been spent on legal already getting this? I would like to have, and you can get all this answered from Stephen, so I was really hoping that everybody could get time with Stephen between now and, say, the town meeting, so that you understand how much work has actually been done on it, and also you might want to be able to check some of your assumptions on your financial calculations, because I think that would be a reasonable thing to talk about as well.
Those are all fine discussions for the zoning aspect. I have talked to Steve multiple times about this analysis that I worked on, Blaine, so rest assured that he and I have been communicating. I've even pulled some of his numbers in here from the American Communities, whatever, as reference material. You've seen him talk to that at previous economic development opportunities in the 1835 building.
I have one more question, maybe Bill can answer this because I got this from him, so I'm throwing you under the bus again. You mentioned the other day that in next year or something, the state's gonna vote on this to see if they're gonna take this out or not? Or did I miss out on that one?
Yeah, there are petitions going out. It's not guaranteed it's on the ballot, but there is a petition out there to add it as a ballot question, whether the law will be repealed or repealed.
For
I think
2026?
it's 10,000 signatures. Yeah, so it would be on the November 2026 ballot.
Okay.
It got approved by the Attorney General as constitutional, so they have to go through and get the signatures now. And if they get the signatures, it will be a referendum on the ballot next year.
So we could, maybe all these towns is going to vote against this and it gets repealed and this is all a waste of time.
It could happen.
State's
But if we vote the zoning, then we voted it, right?
I would.
You would be in compliance until it doesn't exist. Until
That's what I just said.
You could repeal it after that.
Right.
We could repeal it after that.
The only thing that this gives them is the right to not go through one of the many permit processes that they still have to go through.
Understand?
It's just one of the many processes. And there's so many trip-ups on all the other permit processes. This isn't going to be a 5-minute slam dunk because they don't have to get a special permit, no matter what. And if they wanted to, they could go for that special permit right now, couldn't they? Without any of this. So, it's kind of like, there's so many hypotheticals here, you kind of wonder if we're spending too much of our mental energy on this conversation.
Well, a recommendation was requested by the select board. We are discussing that recommendation right now. I think you know where my recommendation sits at this point in time, okay? I haven't heard fully from the others, but we are going to segue into voting about Article 1 right now, and whatever the majority of the Finance Committee vote is on this will determine what our recommendation to the select board is. That's the way I look at it.
Just made one, Blaine, the other part of this too is that the state mandates this stuff, and they get to change what Sterling looks like for the sake of affordable housing. I'm just not a fan. I mean, the state can't even take care of the state. Now they're coming into Sterling saying, and again, this is not a mandate for 351 cities and towns. It's a mandate for people near the rail, which again, we're not near the rail within that half-a-mile zone that we're supposed to be. So, and again, back to Joe's point. So if there's a little bit of resistance, again, I want to know why we qualify for having to do this. Why? And maybe Steve can answer that. And at the end of the day, guess what? He's going to be at the town meeting. Right? So, okay, so I can vote the way I am now, and if he can change my mind at the town meeting, then I can change my mind there. But for right now, I'm with Joe
But we're
also.
legally bound because we're adjacent to an MBTA community.
It says on that thing half a mile.
No, there's a whole bunch of laws I don't like, but I can't even tell you the last time I saw a bus go from Leominster into West Boylston.
It doesn't make any difference.
Right, but we pay for that
It
in
doesn't
our
make
taxes.
any difference. It's a law.
Listen,
We
there
are-
are laws that the state doesn't follow. I'm just saying.
We're not looking to skirt the law, we're not looking to not comply with the law, we're just looking at a different way of compliance with the law right now. And as Kevin said, there are two different things. The 3A is rather short and sweet. You can read it in very few minutes. The regulations, however, that came, that aren't the law, is very long, okay? And what we should challenge is the regulators in this case, not the law. We're not challenging the law. We can meet the spirit of the law and do that, okay? It's all about the regulations, and when you read through it, they say the town has the choice, okay? Well, here the regulators are taking away the town choice by the decisions they're making right now. Our choice was initially Northgate Meadows. The first denial came in on that, and I was liaison to the select board then, and I am now, and I remember when it was a 3-person select board, and having Steve come forward with the rejection, and the select board telling him, go back and try it again for Northgate. I was at that meeting, and I still remember it. I'm still there, okay, because I think it is, for the town, the right answer.
It was rejected again.
Yes, my big thing is, or one of my big things, is that land there should have been rezoned last year for commercial industrial along Route 12. But it's too late now. That's where you would have got some money out of it, instead of pumping all these people in town. But I don't know, I mean, you're gonna take a vote, I mean, how we're gonna, see, it's,
So we are obligated to vote on every warrant article. That's one of our roles. So we are going to do that tonight.
at the end, or
No, we're going to discuss them one at a time because we got another meaty topic, believe it or not, right after this one.
really? What's that?
So I would entertain a motion, vote your finance committee vote on Article 1 of the warrant.
Second.
I would like a roll call vote on this, beginning with my left.
I'm going to vote in favor of the article to be compliant with the state.
I'm going to vote in favor of the article to be compliant with the state.
I am voting a solid no.
I move to approve the article as read.
I vote no.
I'm probably wrong, but I'm voting no.
Oh, boy.
Been wrong before.
You swing vote.
Yeah, no swing vote. I'm a no. Over no.
We have a 3 and 4 vote.
Again, with a caveat, to get the information at the town meeting,
Right.
that I'm looking for answers that,
We need
again,
more
I can't get them.
Yeah.
I would rather come out of the horse's mouth, so that's
Yeah,
why.
we need more information for you.
That's all.
Steve wasn't here because he's smart.
Very, very astute. Any further discussion on this topic before we move on to the next agenda? Hearing none? Now we know why everybody's here tonight. We're going to discuss and possible vote on the special town meeting warrant article. Second one up is the DPW building. So, like the other one, and get the discussion juices flowing here, I've thought a lot about this one as well, as I did the last one. And I have a position on this one that I'll open the discussion with. And that is, at roughly $33 million, this proposal is more than 12 times larger than Sterling's last major capital project, the senior center, which passed by just 12 votes out of 1,310 votes cast. That razor-thin margin shows how cautious residents are about taking on long-term debt this size. I fully support improving the DPW facility. I'm there. I want to do something. But despite nearly $550,000 already authorized for design and OPM services and repeated Finance Committee requests, the DPW Building Committee, the consultant, and the OPM have not paused to reassess or present phased, lower-cost alternatives. Until those fiscally responsible options are developed and presented, I have a hard time spending any additional funds. I will open it up to additional commentary.
I could do that first.
Mr. Gothier first.
Thank you. As I guess all of you know, I've been on a subcommittee for about a year on this building, and I have a little different take than Joe. I feel we need to continue the process. I also something to read. I feel we need to continue the process and approve the additional $2.2 million at this time. Here are my reasons. To stop the process now would only kick the can down the road until May 2026, when the request for the funding of the project will come up again. At subcommittee meetings, I challenged other members and representatives from our consultants several times to justify the cost by talking about each thing, such as Monroe Cable. I've had discussions with someone who had a career in overseeing construction of commercial buildings worldwide. Members of the Finance Committee and taxpayers have spoken. They were able to explain the reasons why a municipal building is much more costly. I haven't been able to come up with any options at these meetings. Okay. As was well argued at the last subcommittee meeting on the 6th of October, there are elements to the process that can't be skirted, such as prevailing wage and requiring the hiring of an OPM. If passed, and this is a huge if, all involved will have 1 year almost to seek out options and push thinking like what is expressed in, I'll call it, Mr. B's email about the Boxford project, which I think is very, very positive and I'm sure we'll be looking into that very closely. It's a compelling reason for hope in this project that our project can come in at a much lower price. Like it has been said, the $2.2 million is a down payment on the total cost of the project. We can closely monitor the spending of the money and push options to bring the price down and insist that less costly options be brought forward, even before requesting bids. I think I'm correct in saying that our committee, to a person, thinks we should go forward with something. Delaying for 6 months will be more costly in the end. Thank you.
Brian, I think you wanted to, do you want to speak?
I just had one question too. I don't think the article says we're asking for 33 million, we're asking for 2.2 million.
And the Finance Committee is asking for options, has been consistently asking for options.
Right. But that happens throughout the process, so you need to continually fund the process to allow options to actually happen.
I hear that.
So, do you want to talk about Boxford? Or?
Sure, I'll read my, so I also prepared a statement. It's the evening of prepared statements, I guess, so I'm just going to read this and I'll sit down. So first off, I just want to say thank you to the Finance Committee and Capital Budget Committee for their time and consideration in reviewing the funding request to complete the design, permitting, and bidding of the DPW facility. While I understand that nothing I say tonight will change your thinking either way, I felt compelled to make a statement nonetheless. It's been brought to my attention that the perception of myself and the DPW Facility Committee is to put our head down and plow through any and all requests to reduce the construction cost of the new DPW facility. That is patently false. Our request on November 3rd is not to fund any construction. We've stressed through this request that the design, permitting, management, and bidding costs will not change should we bring forward a building that costs 27, 20, or 15 million. An email was recently circulated that related our project to a similar project in the town of Boxford. While their department's a bit different than ours, not having a water department and contracting out the bulk of their snow removal, which equates to approximately half the staff and large vehicles, the building project itself is a great comparison. If you watch the video, they were approved for schematic design funds at one town meeting, then design services and OPM to bidding at a subsequent town meeting, just like we are proposing. After that money was approved, and as the emailer pointed out, comments in their proposal, which stated the original proposal was for 30,000 square feet at a price of $24 million, which after additional review and employing value engineering methods, revised this to 22,000 square feet and $16.5 million. The important thing to take away from this is just like Boxford took the appropriate steps to reduce their overall construction costs, we will be doing the same. This work happened after the design funds were approved by the town. Additionally, the $16.5 million cost outlined above does not include schematic design, the access road, site clearing, and design services and OPM bidding, which were all previously approved by their town. The $719 per square foot of that building is very similar to the $742 per square foot we are currently proposing, which is all-inclusive. Boxford had the opportunity to value engineer their project and make cost adjustments. We are asking the townspeople to give us that same opportunity. There will never be a good or ideal time for this project. This project will always bring the debt per capita to the highest in Sterling's history. That would be the case for a fire station, police station, council on aging school, or any other building project constructed today. The difference is all of these facilities have already been constructed. The need for a new facility now turns to the DPW. Should this project be voted down on November 3rd and/or November 20th at the ballot election, there'll be numerous capital projects that will appear on our 5-year capital plan. I would expect those projects to total in the several million-dollar range and only be the beginning of repairs should they become necessary to complete due to extending this project to future years. There is no indication at this point that building price is coming back to pre-2020 levels. We can only be so lucky if they level out. As I've been thinking a lot about this project in the past several days, I realize that we as a town have completely lost sight of what the most important part of this project is. We get lost in protecting the fleet or fueling the DPW and other town departments or keeping our salt dry, but forget about the hardworking men and women who come to work each and every day and on the many nights and weekends, particularly in the winter, to operate out of this facility. The water folks who work out of an old bathroom, the DPW foreman and mechanic whose office floods when the snow melts off the trucks after being parked, or the mechanics who have no adequate way to safely lift a 36,000-pound vehicle to work underneath it. And speaking for myself, this is the reason I'm passionate about this project and will continue to push it forward until we come to a successful solution for the town of Sterling.
I may, so, based on the presentation that you gave us at the last meeting, okay? This is where we come up with the $33 million. That's the public relations way you've already lost. That's out there in the public. So that's what needs to be addressed. You're
That's
telling
why-
us
that's
it's not
why-
going to be 33 million.
Well, that's why I brought it up today, because Joe started off at 33 million.
Okay,
It's not-
that's also in
the
the
article's not for
presentation.
33 million. It is.
Right, the article's not for 33 million, it's for 2.2 million as part of a $33 million project.
Potentially.
Potentially, okay. Well,
Yeah.
potentially, I'm not gonna change my mind as to what it was the last time. My cap on this whole thing, all in, again, we did a cap at the senior center, whether we liked it or not, it was $3 million end of story. Jackie, you were there for that. And for me, the cap on this project, based on everything else that goes on in this town, and believe me, we need a new facility, no question about it. Be careful. My cap is 25 million. That's it. Anything, so the $2.2 million, somebody needs to say the $2.2 million is part of a $25 million cap, and I'm all in. I'm going to support it. But I'm not going to spend the $2.2 million having you give that to somebody with them thinking that, even if it comes in at 26 million, I can't support it. So, again, based on everything else that the town is going to be looking at, I still think it's a little bit more than I would like to spend. But, the other part of this is that, unfortunately, this is not in a vacuum. There's not been one discussion about what's going to happen to that old facility. And I've been in this town long enough to know that the next thing you know, well, this isn't big enough, the fire department needs space, blah, blah, blah. We're keeping it, we're maintaining it. And there's been no discussion about whether or not the town's going to sell it. There's been no discussion of whether or not we could actually make the DPW, the new DPW building, assuming that it passes. There's been no discussion that if we can do that and we put it at about 24 or 25,000 square feet, to demo 3/4 of that building, leave up the 3 new steel bays that were part of the addition, and just leave the water department down there. Because there's been talk about the town having to put a well someplace, and I've heard multiple people say that that's probably a good place for it. Well, we already own the land. Leave the water department there. Now the water department does this. Ryan's 3 miles away if they need them. So again, these are just things that, for me, that are, part of the big picture. Again, I can't reiterate. I'm looking at papers here that say 2.2 million as part of a $33 million project, and that's what's out there. So, you guys can defuse that. I can't. You have the information to do that. That's it.
John?
Yeah, where to start? But, and my great points, and we have to have a building. And I think it goes, I go back to March when we first started talking about it a little more seriously. And, 33 million, Ryan, you even said that's not a hard number, even back then. So we told me we're going to look at some alternatives. I believe you when you say this is hopefully the perfect solution long-term to this whole thing. However, it's always a matter of need versus affordability, no matter how you look at this stuff. And I thought that senior center was the biggest project I was ever going to look at, but that was less than $3 million, and now it's $33 million. And it's going to be $55 million with debt service. And we're in good shape. As I talked to the administrator, debt service is done. We can afford to put this on the books, and maybe it will. But my gut feeling just tells me, when this hit the Meeting House News and other, maybe that's the only publication, I don't know what else, where it hits anymore, maybe there were people that started commenting on it, and the comments were not positive, they weren't favorable. And that's, I'm just telling you, this is what you're going to get into on November 3rd. If you can sell this thing, then I want to give you a lot of money to invest in mine, okay, going forward. But I'm just telling you, the reality of this is $500-600 on the average tax bill. We had trouble selling the senior center back 12 years ago. So I think it's a big uphill climb. And that's why back in March, we wanted I know there's another alternative, which I guess without the office building, 22 million. But Then Mr. Blahart, just a resident, 40-year resident, he sent all this stuff to us. And I told Joe, send it to you guys, send it to the Board of Selectmen. And I said, Hudson was out of reach and too big, and Holliston, but Pembroke and Boxford, and I know you stated it why, but the questions that come up, when I look at the schematic, it has how many vehicles do we have right now that we're covering?
Jeez, let me look it up.
Just approximate,
I just sent it the other day. So I'm going to give you real answers because I don't want to give you theoretical answers because
That's what
your
guys-
can will be used against me in any public forum.
Too late.
Quick study, Ryan.
Too late, Ryan, too late.
No such thing. Let's see here. You can keep talking, I'll find it.
Well, this one covers 14 vehicles. I assume we have a few more, but 14 with the wash bay and all this stuff.
So we're looking to cover, am I doing my math right? 23.
I'm 23.
Yeah, and so with them not doing their own plowing, they don't have as many large vehicles as we do. So that's where that comes from.
So Mr. Blahart's note, I don't know if you got the email on that, public information, but he did ask a good question. He said, okay, so if we need, he didn't know that about farming out the, thank you, Bill, on that for giving me that information, but farming out the plowing, et cetera. But he did say, all right, if we need all these vehicles, what are we doing with the other shed back there on Route 12? Can we not have a scaled back facility down in Toxin Road and still use the facility for sheltering some of the excess vehicles up on Route 12? Because as Kevin said, we're not doing anything with the building. We have no plans to do anything with that building right now. And then he said, and I don't know if he said it, but somebody said, what can we get if we sold it? I don't know, not a lot, but it raised questions. This is why I'm bringing it up. It just raised, and then I looked at Pembroke, and 18,000 population, and it's a 28,540 square foot facility. And I showed it to Bill, excuse me, I don't want to show you informal names.
I've been called worse.
21 employees, and I think this is totally wrong because it's total cost, 9.9 million, 283 square feet. I think it's pie in the sky.
Yeah, it doesn't
And I think it's a joke. There's nothing, they don't say where the number is coming from. But my point with even raising it is, just a citizen started throwing all this out at us in the last week after getting this information a week ago in the Meeting House News, and I think if that's one person, I'm sure other taxpayers are going to have the same concern, the same questions, and they're going to have to be answered. And I don't know. I don't know about the site cost, but this the Boxford thing. 8,600 people, 100 square miles of road versus 95 miles of road. It seems very comparable.
And their cost per square foot was right what we're looking at. And when they were $719 and we're $740, so it's...
Well, you see what I'm saying, though? It's like if I don't know.
I told myself I wasn't going to get up after my statement, and that was all I was going to read, but here I am again, back for more punishment. And that's it. I'm not arguing with anyone tonight.
Just in case it gets defeated. My only last question is, does the 2.2 million, that doesn't automatically mean it's going to be a $33 million facility?
Absolutely not. The 2.2, so if you remember, when we asked for the $500,000, the plan was to come back much further in advance than November. The reason we're here is because of MBTA zoning, right? I don't think we would have called for a special town meeting if it wasn't for the MBTA zoning. When we saw that was coming up, we said, here's an opportunity for us to get 6 months, 12 months ahead of that extra 4% that's going to be tacked on to the construction should we go even further, right? Or maybe we would have gone to May of 27, so now it's another 18 months or whatever. That's why we're here now. The schematic design isn't complete. We just authorized it in July or August because we just got the money available to us July 1st. The idea behind, when we were backing up, before we started to look at the escalations of these prices, this was going to be a much more drawn-out process. Then we started looking at the escalations and said, whoa, this isn't good. We have a team on board. Let's see if we can get the design stuff through so that we can take an aggressive schedule and keep those costs lower. Like I've said, and I'll reiterate again, these options and these things come out through this design process. Boxford had their, whatever they had, it was 1.8 million or something for their design before they pared it down to the 22,000 from the 30,000. That stuff isn't off the table. None of it's off the table. I know that phasing comes up all the time. We have yet to come up with a good way to phase it. If I could tell you how many times I've thought about or had discussions about phasing, if I had a penny for everyone, I could pay for the project. But, I'm trying to come up with ways to phase it. Phasing is great if you're building on the same site. We're not, right? So if I moved all my vehicles down to George Pizzo and I kept all my staff up there, I need an Uber, daily to van us around to go pick up a vehicle, go move here, go move there. For a department of our size and the way that we operate, we have a very, very small management structure. So it's not like we have big office. It's me and 2 foremen. So it's either someone's on an island, right, somewhere or another, which isn't functional. So again, I'm not trying to get into details. I'm just telling you that, because there hasn't been a report or a memo or something about phasing, doesn't mean that stuff hasn't been talked about or discussed or whatnot. I mean, we go through all this stuff. I just want to reiterate, and I know why it's spun this way, not even spun, why it's said this way. We're not asking for 33 million today, nor will we ever have an ask for that much total, right? The 2.2 million we think is going to lead to, it could lead to, the max I think we gave was 27 million for a construction project, right? Yes, you have to add it all up for the total project, I understand that. That's the impact, but our goal is to get it down. We know that 27 million probably isn't going to pass. It's not worth us just coming back and back and back and back to town meetings, because then we're going to be fighting our own, what we're trying to do, aggressive schedule to get that 4% per year escalation, which is a lot on high millions of dollars back, Do you want to touch on Holden, or do you want me to touch on it? I think now
Yeah, I'll give you a break. I just wanted to say, Jack Chandler, when I was chief in Holden, we built a new public safety building. And we went through the same process, same types of people, companies and stuff. First price came in $13 million. Went to town meeting and got defeated. So we went back to the drawing board, we reduced it, we made it smaller, went out for bid again, went to town meeting again. It was still $13 million, but it's a smaller building. This is a year later, got defeated again. So we went back to the building committee, looked at what we could cut things, made it smaller, went back to town meeting the third time, $13 million, and it passed. But it passed after the building was reduced twice. If we done it the first time, we would have gotten the full-size building. And this, one of the things when we designed that building, we designed it to be the last building to fall down on Holden if there was a major snowstorm, ice storm, earthquake. You don't want it to be, you want it to be there to the end. DPW building, you probably want it to be the next to the last to fall down. But, just
Right after my house.
and some of this is new to me anyways, that we're still in the process of planning. 33 million, I mean, my mind is 25 to 27 million, but we haven't even gotten into the detail yet to be able to really look at that. When we finally got the building approved, we still continued cost cutting. We did a lot of things in that. We had a lot of retaining walls in it. We worked with the contractor. We said, we don't want big cement retaining walls. We took rocks that were on the site, piled up into nice bankings. If you drive by there, you'll see the bankings there. You'll see sloped lawns. The architect went crazy with retaining walls. We got rid of those. We got rid of a whole staircase between the second floor and the first floor that when we looked at it, really got down looking and said, no one's going to use that staircase. There's 200 feet on each floor for a massive staircase. We got rid of it. So there's even cost cutting that can go on even while you're in the process of building it once it's approved. So just think about, you want to kick the can down the road, the can's going to get bigger and bigger.
That's for sure.
Maybe. We don't know that, Chad.
It would get more expensive. I'll make it for you. Yeah.
if history serves us right, everything goes up in price. Construction costs cannot go down unless you time the market perfect, which you can't do unless we have a biddable set of documents.
Joe, if I could just please, this has nothing to do with trust. I hope you understand that. For anybody that's on the committee, I absolutely trust you, okay? But again, this is looking just at what was presented the last time, and I just think that, the way the town has done business before is, it's going to cost X amount, that's all you're getting. And I just think going in, if an architect knows that, you address your immediate and most important concerns, which is, XYZ amount of trucks, and make sure that we have a basin to wash everything, because you can't do it outside legally. So that's important. So that may be a little bit bigger than, one of the bays to just park a truck, where you got plenty of room to, have 2 trucks in there to be serviced, and then everything else can be a little bit smaller, however the case may be. But, again, just to be all-inclusive, to me, personally, would make this a whole lot easier to sell, so that people know what the end game is. This $2.2 million is going to tie us up into $25 million. They sit at the town meeting and they say to Joe, what does that equal out to be? Okay? Keeping in mind, maybe it comes in at 24, but we know for a fact it's not going over 25. And then, we can say to people it's 350, it's not 482, and it makes it easier for things down the road. Again, you're going to need new trucks pretty soon too. It would be nice if we have money to be able to buy those. So, and I know these are things that you think about, but this is, it's just, I probably thought about this more than I thought about anything, because I want you to have a facility. You deserve a facility, okay? There's no question about that. I've been in that, I walked that building at 6 o'clock this morning. It's old and it's rickety. I don't even want to go back to the same conversation I just had, which is, what are we going to do with it? To John's point, to be able to go back there and park trucks. Well, if we're going to go back there and park trucks, why don't we just leave the trucks there now? It needs maintenance. It needs work. How much? Right? So at least now, we know what the end game is for a new facility, and then from there we can address this one. To me, we should be walking a parallel path with the old building, a new building, and a new well. We should be walking that path, because the new well's not $50. Okay, it's millions of dollars. Where is it going to go? When are we going to start thinking about doing that? And again, it's not something that we just have, pocket change to
Right. Just to be clear, that will be on water rates, not taxes, so it won't be Prop 2.5 or anything like that. I just want to make sure that's clear. But it's money out of the taxpayer's pocket,
right,
one way or another, or some of them. It's not all of them.
Good point there, too.
No, go ahead.
Just all good points. I came in here tonight, Mr. Chairman, thinking I was going to vote yes on the MBTA and no on this, just because trying to prejudge stuff. And you can't. You have to keep an open mind. So I really do, think after listening to everything, I'm going to vote yes to move this ahead, because it's a lot of work has gone into it, and I'm happy to hear Ryan and Jack and others indicate that it's not a set number in stone. I don't think that will get approved, but there is flexibility. This moves it forward, and what the final number will be, I don't know, but I think if the people know that, and they're going to have a second shot at this thing once they do know that number, and I think we owe it to the town. We have to do something. I have no answers to what the hell it's going to be, but
it's not worth spending $10 million to renovate that building.
No, absolutely not.
If you're dying 10 or 15 years, it's just not worth the investment.
Right. Well, after hearing what I've heard, I've changed my mind on this.
That's one of the reasons why phasing probably doesn't work, because you're going to end up spending $10 million in that existing facility, and you're going to spend a bunch of money at the new facility. So it'll end up being a lot more money, and you still don't get kind of the product that I think the Department of Public Works deserves.
Yep.
Mike, did you have it?
I'm like John, I don't know where to start.
I never knew.
The $33 million that everybody's got in their mind came from this current program analysis. And granted, it is, and this is what's in everybody's mind, it says estimated, and this is what everybody thinks, that if we vote on the $2 million, that it's automatically going to get up to the $33 million. That's, that's that part. The second thing is, Brian, this isn't, you guys need a new building, and all your workers, the health workers are good and everything else, and, as far as you're the second best DPW guy that Sterling's ever had.
You're afraid Cutler's going to come back.
I know, Cutler's gonna, that's why you're the second. I think I can be first. My problem, as we talked about this beginning of the year, I think it's too big. I think the shop part, the 20,000 square feet is too big just to park the trucks in every night. That's one of my big problems. I had a 5,000 square foot garage, and we had 20 to 25 tractors with 9 mechanics in there all the time working. So that's why this is where I'm getting this from. And the other thing is, being on committees, building committees with Mr. Chandler and Dick Mackey, this $2 million, why is it $2 million? Is this part of the 33 million? Is that how it comes? So it wouldn't, if it was down at 27, we wouldn't be asking for $2 million, right?
No, we would be. That's kind of what I was
That's what I was wondering,
saying.
if that's part of it, or we...
Do you want to speak?
No, I know it's part of it, but as far as what you need to go forward, what the architects need to go forward.
So that's kind of what I had said tonight, that whether the building costs 27, 25, or 15, we're looking at roughly $2.2 million to design that building.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
And obviously, any of them say it was 1.8 million, while the other, 400,000 can get rolled into.
Well, right, but I'm just thinking with when
You need to go that step.
No, I know we had to go to that step, but I'm just wondering if that was part of the...
It's not based on a percentage or anything,
That's
it's
all I
based on
wondered.
hours left.
Yeah, because I thought we went through that before with the police and the fire and stuff. And there again, like Kevin Beaupre and other people, I would like to see that if you want this $2.5 million, and at the town meeting, you're gonna say, okay, we're gonna do this, and we're looking to do this building, but what they wanna know, people wanna know what you're gonna do with the old building, in writing or however, and if the town of, the light department is still gonna have anything to do with this. Because people got in their mind the 1835 building was still chasing.
I mean,
and if you told me that you're going to tear it down, you're going to just tear half of it down, and sooner or later, the water department, I think, has to be separate from the DPW, like other towns.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay, so that wouldn't be...
No, we're not a water district. We're not, that's all special legislation. We're a water department.
All right.
Water department is members of the Department of Public Works. They plow snow with us. They are, we can't dedicate them purely, like, we're all one team here.
Right.
We're not divisions. So, you want to ask me today what's happened, that building's getting knocked down. There's nothing savable about it. The way it was constructed in 2008, while the floors may be in decent shape, the rest of the building was some of the worst construction methods I've ever seen. And I should bring Mark Bruno in. He's done a lot of work on that building, including the 2008 part, which honestly, it's kind of sinking out of sight, which is part of the issue.
Fire station.
We talk about wells and things like that. The idea that I have in my head wouldn't be to build a well there, it would be to build a water treatment plant there for the wells that are up the street, right? Doesn't need to be the whole property, and it would have nothing to do with the existing building. I was actually meeting with a consultant about it today, because we need to do an evaluation for the DEP to satisfy some of our PFAS requirements. And they walked out there and looked where the old sand pile used to be and said, wow, what a beautiful location for a treatment plant. The water main's right in front of it. What a great idea. These are all theories, but these are what we're thinking. The tanks would have to come out. The salt shed obviously has to come down. I see no savable part of that building. If we were to...
Even the front part?
If we were to block off that front part, we would need to redo all the fire sprinklers. We would need to redo all the electrical, because all the panels are in a totally separate part of the building. We need to build a facade on the back to block it off, because right now it's 1958 and 2008 in one long bay. And the cost of that for 3 trucks to park would be out of this world, where we we could just add or keep, I don't know, 2,000 square feet for those 3 trucks at a much lower cost than it would be to do that and then have to shuffle vehicles around all the time. So that's my off-the-cuff idea. I don't have it in writing, I don't have data to back it up, but that's the way that I see it. I see no saving that existing building, and no one has approached me and asked me if they could use it. And also, yes, SMLD is still interested in working with us. We just haven't really, we just got our survey, and we're starting to lay them out, but we haven't really sat down with their board and they said, okay, we're good to commit X amount of dollars, but they were extremely, extremely interested, and that would share some of the site costs.
Right, that's what people gonna want. That's where I wanted to go as far as what you're gonna do with that. And there again, what would the town do with that? Hopefully they would sell it and it would be a commercial.
Or break part of it off, maybe save part of it for a treatment plant, sell the other half.
Right, but do something with it.
I wish that property moved better on that side of Route 12. I'd like to see the Sterling Inn go and things like that, so that stuff's been sitting for so long.
But Blaine, you've been way too quiet tonight, would you?
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we vote to recommend or not recommend this article on the...
Because we're on air, I want to make one more point before we go there. And this is strictly financial again. I don't come at things as a finance chair any other way except finance. If I'm going to voice an opinion, it's going to be when I'm sitting in town meeting with a clicker in my hand, then you'll hear my opinion. Okay, you're going to hear finance right now. I resonate with what Kevin said, and if this committee put a cap on it and came to the town with, we're going to do this, and we're going to figure out how to do it no more than, I'll use Kevin's number. I don't know whether it's the right number or not. 25 million. I think you'd get a different response from just about everybody, including the township here. I go to the finances, and when I went to the first building committee, or even before the building committee was formed, I believe, Weston and Sampson was there in discussing this process before we got the building committee kicked off. And I cornered the guy from Weston and Sampson, and I said, give me a ballpark number on what you're proposing here, and he said 33 million. Well, today, it's still the same 33 million, so it hasn't moved off of that. I think everybody would like to see movement off of that number as a commitment. That is, we're going to design for this the same way that Kevin described when we did the senior center. There was a cap on it, and decisions were made. Is it going to blow the cap? If it's going to blow the cap, it's out. Type of mentality that went into that. And we were able to hold it, and I believe it came in at 2.7 million.
Yeah, it was actually, and then the 300,000 that was left over was used for add-ons.
So an approach like that is financial, and to put it in dashboard, which I like to do, okay, and I think I've shared the dashboard with just about everybody in town right now. There are a couple of metrics that they use on debt. One of them is debt as a percentage of equalized value. To me, in today's day and age, relatively meaningless. Maybe it used to mean something a long time ago. But valuations of real estate have skyrocketed, and it made it's green right now. It's solid, flashing green right now. Debt per capita is at the other end of the spectrum. And if we do spend 33 million, we have recorded history going back in the town to 2003. Perhaps if you dig through the archives, you can find it. The easily findable stuff goes back to 2003. This will blow away the number of debt per capita that we've ever seen in town here at $33 million. So that's a flashing red at the other end of the spectrum. And somewhere in the middle is the caution light. And that's the debt service as a percent of our budget. It's over 7% if we go ahead at 33 million on this thing. So that is an upper sustainable limit is what we're looking at there for the debt service as a percentage of our total annual budget right now. So those are the things I wanted to say before we got into that. And I would entertain your motion to vote on Article 2 at this point in time.
Second?
Second.
Okay,
It's 3 seconds.
Roll call vote?
roll call vote. And this requires both capital and FinCom.
Okay.
So we start off with the FinCom vote.
Could you repeat, because I thought that you put out two choices.
No, I was saying I was making a motion to vote on whether the FinCom and CVC recommend spending the 2.2 million in this Article 2.
Yeah.
That was my motion.
We're voting on Article 2, in other words, Jack. We have two separate committees here tonight as a joint, so we're going to conduct two votes. The first one we'll conduct is FinCom. Going to start again on my left.
Okay, I'm going to vote in favor.
I vote in favor.
I vote solidly no.
I approve Article 2.
One more time to think about it?
Yeah, well, I do, but I'm going to vote no, and I can always change my mind at the town meeting.
Yeah, I'm going to vote yes.
I'm going to vote yes for the caveat. I'm still sticking at 25 million. I'll give you this 2.2, but if it exceeds the 25, when you come back the next November, whatever, then
Well, I don't think we can have a conditional on it.
No, that's a personal thing. I don't want to think I'm changing my mind. But yes.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So what was the total count then? How many yeses and how many noes?
I think there was one no,
Yeah, me.
two no's,
Two noes. So 2 noes
5 and 2.
and 5 yeses.
and 5 yeses, okay. Capital Committee,
I will vote yes.
I will vote yes.
I'll vote no.
And I'll vote, I'll vote yes.
I vote no.
Okay, so we have 2 noes and 1, 2...
3 no's.
3 no's.
Oh, 3 noes and 3 yeses? How many?
2 yeses.
Only
because
2
Sarah is
yeses.
not here.
2 yeses and 3 noes.
John, yes? John was a yes.
John was a yes, so we have 3 yeses, right? 3 yeses. There's only 7 of us on capital. There's 3 yeses.
There's 6 of us.
3 yeses. Yeah, 6 present, but I mean, there's
So it's 3 and 3.
3 and 3 on capital and 5 and 2 on FinCom.
Okay, that covers that one unless there's any other questions.
Thank you for your consideration. Appreciate it. Do you want me to stick around for the water articles? Or would you be okay if because we're supposed to have a meeting after this, would you be okay? Do you want me to give you a
I don't
quick?
think you have to hang around.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks.
See you later.
Thank you.
They've had enough of us.
Where do you think?
Going on the election,
Like what happens at the
town meeting after the school votes.
I can make it easy on the third item on the agenda. I talked to the town administrator, and we're going to meet next month. He said that all the actual numbers should be in by then, in mid-November, and that would be a more effective time to compare the reconciliation of the free cash.
So we will table
Table that.
the free cash reconciliation, which we want to get. We want to present to the public where the free cash came from. And that's also for the benefit of the committee. We have some new people on the committee, and I'd like them to understand the process as well. Okay, what is free cash? Where did it originate from? And should we be worried about anything, or we're certainly happy about the number that came in. Article 3, I think we can skip the vote on because it is a non-financial item, and that's the dog waste bylaw on this.
Yeah.
What's her name's got a vote on that one? Oh, it's a lady that comes in here all the time.
Laura has full control of that one. The next item that I think is relevant for the Finance Committee is Article 4, which is pilot agreements for renewable energy generation and energy storage. There is a consideration for a new one in town. It's off of Metropolitan Road. It's by some LLC that's coming into town to put solar and potentially battery on that site as well. And I paused on this one, and I had, to the wording that mostly I don't object to, I added one recommended addition. I will tell you, it came before the select board last night. The addition was voted down 4-1. There was 1 vote in favor and 4 against it. It didn't get read at last night's meeting, so I'm going to read what the addition is so everybody's aware of what it is. I've shared this with you as well. And that is a clause that I've added, and I'll put it in context later. Provided, however, this is a clause, that no such pilot agreement shall be executed until the Finance Committee has had an opportunity to review and issue a recommendation to the Select Board. I think that, to me, that's prudent fiscal behavior of the Finance Committee in town. Now, without this, it is my belief that the Select Board would be free, as they have on 2 prior solar pilots in town here, one on Wiles Road and one being built right now on Jewett Road, a smaller one on Jewett Road right now, without any watchdog oversight or recommendation coming out of the Finance Committee before that approval was granted. Patricia, you remember better than I exactly the reason, but what I kind of heard was we've never done this before, and we've had other...
Joe, just to back up the truck 1 minute, I believe we read it last night.
What's that?
I believe it was read last night at this.
I don't recall, and I went back and I looked today, Patricia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why I say that, because I was hoping that it would have been read, but I don't recall. If I did, it was
I believe it was, but at any rate, it was just kind of an unprecedented thing. It was kind of like, why this need when there never has been that need before?
And kind of my reason for it, and we didn't get into it last night, but we'll get into it tonight, is that it's a 20-year commitment on these pilots to the town. It's a significant financial resource because it's revenue. It locks in the revenue with an escalator on it for each year that the pilot's in existence. So there is benefit to the town that we are getting money for it, but we should look at pilots and compare it to peers in the area, and that's what the Finance Committee can provide to the Select Board is, are we getting a good deal here, or are we not getting a good deal here? And that's what financial oversight helps with. Not that any of us needs any more work, but I think with a 20-year commitment and the amount of money involved here, it is one that I think we need to give consideration to. So it was rejected at the Select Board last night. So we can vote the same way the Select Board has for the article as originally written without that clause in it. And then I would like to go further and have the Finance Committee authorize the chair of the Finance Committee to make a floor motion at the special town meeting to include this, since it's going to publication without that in it at this point in time. So that's the discussion that I wanted to have about Article 4. I will now open it up for questions.
I think just because it's never been done before doesn't make it a bad idea, you know? So I would be in favor of that, you know, reviewing and then weighing in on it. I mean, the Select Board's going to do what they're going to do anyway, right? We're going to have a different, one likely we're going to have a different opinion anyway because it's, you know, finances, but.
Well, it does put us under the gun, okay? If the proposal is getting close to signature, the Select Board doesn't want to wait, and we don't want to hold the town up. We want to be responsive to it. So if it gets approved as an amendment on the floor at town meeting, we will have to be in lockstep with the Select Board when the financials come in on this thing, we're on top of it, and we can issue a concurrent recommendation on that. That may mean a special meeting, but I personally think it's a big enough amount of money and it's important enough to the town that we do that.
So now the selectmen voted against this last night?
They voted against the revision of it. They voted unanimously to approve the Article 4 as originally written.
Okay.
Correct.
And they don't want the finance to get involved at all in it? Is that
Correct.
basically what it amounts to?
Well, that's not what that means. It means that they don't want it in the warrant article.
They don't want what?
They don't want it in the warrant article. That doesn't mean the select board cannot ask the finance committee to look at pilot agreements.
Right, but if we...
But it's not written within the article.
Right. But if it's this article, if this goes in, the selectmen have to, the select board, have to come to us and get our recommendation or not?
Similar to, and this was different than normally, the select board came to us at the last select board meeting and made a specific agenda item to request the finance committee to issue a recommendation on MBTA communities. We did. Okay, we went through that tonight. So this should be automatic on large financial issues facing the town. That should be an automatic response on that.
But this would, if we change the wording, this would require.
It would require them to say when they got finances for this particular pilot, they would share them all with us, and we would provide a recommendation the same way that we provide a recommendation tonight on MBTA and the DPW building. It's procedural and it's important because it's financial and it's a 20-year lock-in on this one.
But the select board just didn't want to do any of this. Was there any reason for that? Or they...
Just that it was kind of unprecedented, that FinCom would weigh in on the whole article.
On a financial thing?
Well, no, that they would have to, the way it was written, and do you have it there?
No, it's just the...
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but it was the fact that FinCom was going to have to just not approve, but have to give...
I'll read it, Patricia, to help you out, okay?
And, I was texting with Kirsten, she said you're correct, that it wasn't read, that we just gave the gist of the...
Yes.
So you are correct.
Yeah, right there. Provided, however, that no such pilot agreement shall be executed until the Finance Committee has had an opportunity to review and issue a recommendation. Those are the specific words. And we would do that. We would happily do that for the Select Board.
I have a question. I had a question when I read this with or without the addition. It talked about payments in lieu of taxes. So if you have an agreement for energy generation, doesn't that go to the light department? And how does that, so
No.
why are we not getting tax input if it's,
The payment in lieu of taxes is, they set a tax schedule you could look at. It's a fixed with an escalator schedule for the 20 years. They're going to pay that to the town instead of paying us property taxes and real estate taxes on that arrangement over there.
It's credits on what's produced on the solar energy. So what?
Yeah, but doesn't the light department?
The light department.
That's the benefit of that solar energy.
The light department on the existing two, to my knowledge, has a purchase power agreement that they have in place to buy the energy from that.
So because the ratepayers get a benefit from the light department buying it, the pilot for the town is a little bit less. Where this one is going straight through National Grid. Now, it's also in Clinton.
We don't get the benefit. That's what tweaked my
Ratepayer
interest.
wouldn't, but the town would, because now you're talking a full valuation of it. So the valuation's a little bit lower because they're purchasing the power at a lower cost. So it's beneficial to both SMLD for like Jewett Road, where this one is going to National Grid and has nothing to do with SMLD. The valuation of that's significantly higher.
And I believe it's an out-of-town LLC that's pitching this as well, right, Bill?
Well, the owners had it for 125 years in their family.
The land.
Yes.
The land, not the installation. The installation is...
I don't know if there's many solar installers in town that are doing large scale things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, that's my point. A corporation is coming in, want to use our land. This is all about getting the right value for that corporation coming in and establishing themselves in town here. Okay. Lord knows DCR has consumed a very large percentage of our land right now, and they are operating under a pilot. And to use a pun, in my view, we're underwater in what we're getting paid.
It's a twin-engine plane, not a jet, that's for sure.
So 40 years ago, the watershed pilot was 700,000. Today, it's like 810. To think that the values in Sterling have equated a pilot of $110,000 increase in
Not even
40 years
close.
is not
Close.
not
Okay.
close.
So that's an analogy here that we want to be careful as a finance committee to get what we're worth for the town. If you're going to lock up, in this case, I can't remember how many acres, somewhere around 16 acres or something like that, Bill.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, for the
About 100%.
metropolitan one. It's bigger than the Jewett Road one, which is about a 5-acre one. And the other one, for context, over on Wiles Road, that's a 25-acre solar parcel over there. This is all just about financial, again, getting the value to the town, what it's worth, so I don't hear from a taxpayer later on, we're getting hosed by, this, or we're getting hosed by that.
You're going to hear that anyway, no matter what you do. No matter what you do, you're going to hear that.
So
I don't think it's a big problem. I just don't want to tie the select board's hands, having been on that for small stuff along the way. So we don't have any number on this thing as far as what it's going to cost. So, but I understand it's a big one, so it doesn't hurt to have a second opinion or a second look.
It's also negotiated by the assessor, and, we use a regional firm, so they've got 39 towns, they're doing this all over, and the person that does their solar has done this for, 50 years, so he's got a lot of experience in negotiating these. He's negotiated them in my previous town, we use them as well, so it's not like it's me just coming up with a number and saying, go ahead with it.
Yeah.
But as you said, this one's different, Bill. The power's going out of town on this one.
It's actually a lot easier. If it's X amount per megawatt and it's 10 megawatts, it's a pretty easy calculation versus where does the PPA fall into reducing those.
In New England, and this is one time I'll present an opinion, it's a poor use of land to put solar fields up that only generate 35% of the nameplate capability of it. And there is night and day, so you subtract 50% right away, and then you look at the efficiency of it against the nameplate rating.
You think too much, you know that, right? You way overthink stuff. Jesus Christ, the night and day, and how many hours?
Even if you look at the day, the one over on Wiles Road, which is a huge complex, is coming in at 35% of what the capability on the nameplate is in terms of power output, in terms of energy production on it. Now you look at it in Phoenix, Arizona, it'd be a whole different equation, but we're not in Phoenix, Arizona right now.
Really? So we got to make a motion for this, to do this article?
So we should vote on the article, so let's get that out of the way first, okay? Straight up article as originally written without that in.
Make a motion to approve the article as written.
Second.
All right, now we'll take a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
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 Okay, go ahead.
Is it, so this is just finance only, right?
Finance only. So that was
One no and,
one no and 6 yeses.
1 no and 6 yeses.
So that means that we're voting to keep it the way it is without your big bold letters.
Right.
Oh, I screwed that up, go ahead.
You did?
Yeah, but
Take your
vote.
Yeah, I think the finance, because this is basically, we're helping the town get money for the land. Okay, we're not stopping a project or going after the selectmen or anything else. We're just making,
And I was under the impression you were going to amend it on the town meeting floor.
right, okay.
The second one.
Exactly. Your idea.
This one's straight up, okay?
So this is,
So are you a yes or a no?
I already said yes. Again, the article as written.
But not with the bold letters in it. Do you
The
have
article
bold
as
letters
written
in
does
yours?
not have the addition.
What was that, Bill?
The article as written does not have the addition. That's
Doesn't
what's
have
in
the
the
big
warrant.
letters. Do you have the big letters on your paper?
No, I don't either.
Come on, you guys.
so basically, the article as written will go on the warrant.
It is on the warrant.
It is on the warrant, and it's going to say how many finance committee members recommended it as written, and how many opposed it as written. And then on the town floor, he's going to make a motion to modify it.
If you approve.
And we can vote on that right now.
So that's what we're voting on, whether to modify it or not.
Right, if we want to vote on that right now.
Yeah, but if
That's why we need clarity.
Right, I thought your original motion was to approve the article as written,
As written.
meaning
Without,
Article 4.
yep, without the change.
I want,
without the
Okay,
change.
so now we're voting on this.
Yes, correct. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you still, yes?
Do we have a straight up vote on the first one? Mike, did you change your vote, or did you stick with your original yes vote?
I'm going to stay with a yes vote.
Okay.
So 6-1. Let's move on.
So then the second motion would be to allow the chair to
Recommend.
to offer a floor amendment at special town meeting to include that verbiage.
So, second.
All right, now we'll take a vote on that, starting.
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so
It's 1 no and 6 yeses. Okay. So you've just put me on the spot to make a floor amendment at special town meeting is what you guys just did.
You can put yourself on the spot.
Yeah.
Just do it in advance of the
I
meeting.
care about finances.
You walked under the bus yourself. You're gonna push it.
Walked under the post, they said drive.
That takes care of Article 4 unless there is any other conversation.
No.
No? I blew my commitment to Mr. Kilcoyne to try and keep it to 90 minutes.
That's all right.
The next one is Article 5, prior year warrant articles. This is a clawback that is specific to water clawback. So there's a listing of prior warrant articles that got underspent to the tune of $73,613. And in support of the next article that we're discussing, they want to claw this money back to be applied to the next article coming up here. So this is typically done at an annual meeting. We have a special town meeting. We have an opportunity to do that. We've always encouraged clawbacks where there's just pockets of money sitting there doing nothing, to claw them back and put them to useful purpose. So this one should have a finance committee nomination or
Motion.
a motion.
To approve.
Second.
And
And
now
I just want to make one comment to newer members of Capital or whatever. This is a common thing every year. One of the reports I'll be giving out between now and maybe our next meeting or the December meeting is open projects. What projects are still open? How much money is still there that hasn't been spent on capital items that have been approved? This is the water department, so this comes out of their water enterprise fund, so it's not out of the town capital fund or budget, but same idea. So we'll be doing the same thing for other capital items that aren't specific to the water department coming down the pike.
probably at our annual meeting, there'll probably be a roster of things we may consider clawback as well. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Yeah, good education. So I think did we have a motion and a second?
Yes, we did.
Now we need a vote.
Yes.
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 Unanimous.
Unanimous. We always want to take money back and reapply it for good cause. The next one is the water operating budget, and this is the one that Ryan asked me a question about. This one, they want to rescind the earlier water operating budget, which was rough and tough, 1.4 million, and they want to replace it with a new total budget of 1.538 million.
What was it before?
1.4 million going to 1.538, so it's up $138,000 rough and tough. And
It's the same amount of money, it's just different funding sources. So there was 1.4 from the water rates and the other things. It's still using the same 1.58, it's just using the clawback and PFAS money.
so they want to add to that what we just clawed back in order to get to that. And they also want to use money from the PFAS settlement to provide the balance of that $138,000 increase rough and tough.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
You have a well, so I don't think we can have
That was unanimous, Val.
Yep.
And the next one here is to rescind water department capital. We had a vote at our May meeting here in Article 23, which appropriated money out of the water enterprise retained earnings funds. And that was to the tune of $375,000 for water meter replacement, water source investigation, and loader split with DPW. To total that $375,000. So this one again is a water department article. And I will entertain a motion to approve as
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
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 Article 8 is water department capital. So we rescinded the other one, okay? Now, this one is town to appropriate the sum of $103,639 for FY26 water department capital projects. And $53,000 of that, rough and tough, is coming out of the water enterprise retained earnings, and $50,000 from the PFAS settlement funds for that total of $103,639. So I have a motion for approval on that.
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And last but not least is Article 9, and this one we discussed at a prior joint meeting here. And this one confirms it in a warrant article, and this is a capital budget request for $25,000 from the CIF to purpose the ADA compliance to the library lift entryway on it. So we did vote on this earlier, so this is somewhat of a formality, but I would entertain a motion to approve this.
So moved. Second.
Yes.
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 Yeah. This is a capital also?
Capital also.
Yes.
Okay, so we got it unanimous for both capital.
Real quick on that, I know it's too late, but that means that we got to pay for that ADA lift or something over in the library?
ADA compliance
ADA, yeah.
for the lift
It's
entrance.
it's the entryway. It's
Yeah, that's-
$25,000 to finish the entryway, so they
It
can
is coming out of the
use it.
capital investment fund.
There's no grants on that?
It's not a grant. This is coming out of basically our savings account for capital improvement.
Basically, they've used both ARPA and other things to do
No, I
most
remember
of the
that.
project, and this
We did
is
talk about that.
just a little bit to finish it off, so that they can finally use that elevator.
Okay, so that's gone through all the agenda items except the last one, which we all agreed that we are going to defer the reconciliation of the free cash until our November 20th meeting, Bill.
Assuming everything's filled in that we need to. assuming we have all the information I need to. Yep.
We want the big hitters, Bill, so, there'll be the other category, but in the spirit of, we got some new members on the team here, we'd like to go through that process and understand that, where free cash comes from, okay? So we will tee that up as an agenda item for the November 20th meeting. And the other agenda item that I'll remind you is we deferred Steve Wallace's presentation on 2026 rezoning proposal, so he will also be present at that meeting. And
Could you send me that again?
what's that?
Steve Wallace's presentation?
Can I send it out again?
Yeah, could you,
How many thousands of pages is it?
It's a lot, but it's a link, so it's easy to resend.
Yeah, send to you, but not for me to copy.
Now, if you want a copy, a hard copy, Steve put 4 of the hard copies in our mailbox on the second floor here, right next to the town clerk. There's a little aisleway with the cubbies. I think Kevin knows where it is.
Yeah, I know where it is.
Yeah. Go grab a copy of it if you wanted a hard copy.
Yeah, because I was reading some of that tonight. And there's a lot of stuff on that rezoning.
And with that, if there are no other issues or conversation to be had, I would entertain the same.
Motion to adjourn.
I was just going to say.
All in favor?
Aye. Job, Joe.
Thank you.